tonight. We've got a very special guest on here with us, one of the people who actually ran across us, I think, about, I'm just guessing now, 3 years ago, Robin? Is that about right? Robin Herrera.
Hey, good evening, Patrick. No, actually, believe it or not, it has been over 5 years.
No way.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Are you kidding?
No, I'm not.
I'm way out of, so that was like 2007, 8, 9, 10,
it was
2006.
the first time that we came across it, and it was one of those weird, literally friend of a friend had been to a 2-hour informational workshop, for lack of a better term.
Oh, that's right. We did a live seminar, didn't we? Yeah.
Yes. And said, you know, this is not for me, but knew where I was and what I was doing, and that I wasn't wanting to go back into the field where I have my education from, and said, hey, go check this out. Never heard anything about ABS, nothing. My mother and I attended a one-day workshop at a Dave & Buster's in Austin, Texas. Literally met y'all at 8 a.m. and signed the licensee agreement at 4.
I remember we did like an all-day kind of an introduction seminar, didn't we? Kind of giving people an overview of the thing, and then invited you to come back and sign up if you were still interested the next day.
Yeah, and we were like, no, we're heading back to Houston, so you got it now.
Yeah, I remember that. Well, we're sure glad that you did join us, Robin, because, folks, Robin has taken this business and just run with it. Robin, let me ask you, what were you doing right before you all got involved in this?
I was a stay-at-home mom.
Okay. So not doing anything as far as vocationally?
No.
Just raising kids?
Yes. My education's actually in engineering, and I had worked as an engineer for about 4 years whenever I left the field to stay home with my children. And when I came across ABS, I was in the process of going through a divorce and trying to figure out, okay, what do I want to do now? And had an opportunity to return to the oil and gas industry. But with 2 young children, I really did not want to go back into those 60, 70-hour-a-week jobs and be away from them, so they would have lost basically not only just their home life, but their mother as well. And I was looking for something else now that I can't say now that I had to grow up, because I still refuse to grow up. But, okay, what am I going to do? Thank you. But what am I going to do to support myself and to support my children? And that's when I came across ABS. And it was really exactly what I was looking for, and it had all the earmarks of a business that was not going to be it wasn't something that was going to die out, because I saw cutting-edge technology, and that was the biggest thing that drew me to ABS.
Yeah, the web-based system we have, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, let me ask you this. So you didn't have any experience or background in the medical field at all then?
Other than when I went to the doctor and said, hey, my foot hurts.
Yeah, that's about, you know what, that's true. That's true of about probably 90% of the people who come through. Now, some people have worked in the doctor's office, but not necessarily, you know, in the medical billing side of it. So I guess the people involved in who've actually got any experience in the medical billing, probably of our licensees, probably, you know, 5%, maybe 3 or 4%. Yeah. So, yeah, you don't have to know anything, do you?
No, you really don't, because the system is so easy, and it's really, the whole industry is about relationships and talking to people, and that's what anybody can do.
Yeah, now you're down in the Houston area. Have you lived there all your life?
No, actually, I haven't. I was born in Beaumont, which, if anyone doesn't know where that is, it's in the very southeast corner. Moved to Austin when I was roughly in middle school. Went to Texas A&M University, which is where I got my degree. Followed a ex-husband halfway around the world for 11 years with the military, and when I had the choice, I ran back to Texas as quickly as I could and settled in the Houston area.
Yeah, and lived there ever since, huh?
Yep.
So let me ask you now, you have your father and your mother are both involved with you in this business, right?
Yes, they are. They had been working after storms, doing a lot of the insurance and reconstruction after hurricanes. specifically in Florida and then again here in Houston. And we're tired of the traveling and wanted to settle in one place about the time that I had my life change, and it was just a good opportunity for both of us at the time.
Yeah, so you're kind of like partners with them in the business, and well, I don't want to get too far ahead. Let me back up just a minute. What caused you to look at the medical billing as a business opportunity? I mean, of all the things that are out there, why medical billing?
It wasn't so much the medical billing initially. What I was looking at, I was looking for an industry that had growth potential. I was looking for an industry that had, or an opportunity within an industry that had cutting-edge technology, because everything is changing so fast. I knew that whatever business I settled in, I had to have the business with the best technology out there and the best potential for adapting to the changes in its said industry. But when I came across ABS, that's when I started looking at, okay, why the medical? What about it is going to make this something that 5 years, 10 years, 20 years from now, this is an industry that will keep growing? Well, when you take a look at the fact that we have the baby boomers who are an aging population, the advances in medical science, all these different things are happening all at once. As long as there is a person out there with a cold, the flu, cancer, need for surgery, whatever the case may be, doctors are going to be there. And as long as health care is as expensive as it is, there's going to be insurance and a need for insurance. And so that right there shows that you've got an industry that not only is not going anywhere, but only shows signs of growth. And then ABS had the technology to adapt to the changes as it comes through. And that's what I was looking for.
Yeah, you got to stay on top of that technology stuff. Even in the 17 years, that we've been doing this, we've seen all kinds of changes come about. And of course, you know that we partner with other technology partners who keep us way ahead of the curve. In fact, my son's always complaining that I'm always on the bleeding edge of technology because we're constantly looking at new stuff, to make it even better for our licensees. Yeah. And as long as there's sick people around, I think this business will be around, don't you?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you've got the cold, you've got the flu, you've got, as long as a kid's going to be out roughhousing with the other kids in the neighborhood, there's going to be broken bones. There's always going to be a need for a doctor. There just is.
Sure. Now, what about this new, I guess not new now, but since 2008, the new healthcare initiative, I guess they call it. What do you think, how that's going to affect this business?
If anything, I see it making those of us that have an option other than a software-based system are just going to become more and more valuable, because nobody really knows what this is all going to mean, but we have the ability to change with it, whatever comes. And everything that I've seen in the 5 years that I've been doing this business is that every time there's been a radical change in the industry, we've been one of, if not the first, one of the first to make the changes. And, people are like, oh my gosh, this is happening. And we're like, oh, we've been doing that for 3 months now.
The nice thing is doing it over the web like we do, we can make the changes on the back end. Every time you log in to the site, we've got all the upgrades and the new stuff there. Boom, it's just there.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I had that happen like 3 weeks ago. A code I was using, I just logged on, and I got a little red box, and it told me that it had been deleted, and I needed a new one.
Yeah, there you go.
Boom. Nobody else knew. I even had to call the doctor and say, by the way. And then, of course, the doctor thinks that I rock, and that's what we're all after.
And then you mentioned earlier, the baby boomers, the retirees that are moving into the healthcare system, in addition to the 37 million uninsured Americans with the new healthcare plan. That just, the growth rate for this thing is huge. I just got a magazine. I don't know if you're a member of the Healthcare Billing and Management Association, But they have a magazine that comes out every month, and this article is on where is our industry headed, and it's a great article because it says this is growing healthcare. This industry is growing 6% per year, compared to most of them that are, falling off and disappearing. So, well, it's 1/6 of the economy. Healthcare is 1/6 of the economy. Yeah.
And in my networking groups of all the businesses, mine is one of the few that has grown through the recession.
Yeah, isn't that amazing to watch all the other people in groups like that talk about, real estate is crashing and investments are crashing. There's so many auto sales. I'd hate to be in some industries right now.
Yeah, it is challenging for others, where others are really having to just struggle through. I mean, we've seen some changes just because of the uncertainty that's across our economy, period. But ours has grown steadily, even through the recession. In fact, I just had to hire a new person this week.
You did? Oh,
yes,
terrific. How many people are working with you now?
We have 3 people full-time and 2 people part-time.
That is terrific. I'm so proud of you. I haven't talked to you in some time, Robin, and every time I talk to you, you've got more people working for you. Give us a feel for where you're at in your business today now. Here's 5 years later. Give us a feel on how many clients or some kind of volume or monthly dollars in billing or...
Oh, now as far as monthly dollars in billing, I really, without running reports, I don't know. But every doctor that we have, in fact, actually, we've got to the point where we looked at everybody that we were filing for, and we just fired 2 of our doctors because they were not producing the profit margin that we desired. So, it's nice to be at the point where it's not that I'm taking every doctor that just comes my way, but I'm actually staying only with the doctors that are, 1, I'm going to be making them money, and 2, I'm not in this for charity. I want to make a good living, and so
sure.
Those are the ones that we're really looking at, and we're also, every single doctor we have, we still have 1, 2, 7 offices, and these are not all single practitioners. Some of them are groups.
Oh, good.
And yes, and every single one of them, since we have taken on their billing, has grown. One practice has literally quadrupled in 2.5 years.
Isn't that a great feeling to be able to know that you are actually helping another small businessman? That's what doctors are, right?
Yeah.
They're businessmen too. You're helping them grow. So
it is, definitely, and I will tell you without question, it's not. It's all, as much as I would love to say it's all me, it's not.
Right.
It's the tools that ABS has provided. I don't necessarily use every tool with every practitioner. I'm able to tailor it for what each practice wants and needs and where they're going. And that has been one of the most powerful things about being an ABS licensee is what I need is available. But I don't have to use everything. I use what works in my area for my doctors. And it's perfect. It's fabulous.
Yeah, it's different for each licensee. You're right. I hear that a lot from licensees, that even though we've got, I think 8 different services that you can offer to doctors, not all of them want them or need them. So it's just nice to say you've got them in your tool bag, to offer to them.
Oh, yeah, for a fee.
You learn fast. We taught that to you in training, didn't we? Anything anybody asks you, just say, yes, I can do that for a fee.
And here's a service agreement, and this is how we'll be paid.
Right, sign here.
Exactly.
Okay, Robin, why don't we just open it up now? Let's see if we've got some questions from the listening audience here. We'll see if they are listening, because, folks, at this point, if you want to type in a question, on that little control panel over there, it may have been hidden somewhere. You may have to look for it there on your computer. There is a little question box, and you can type in that any question you want directly to Robin, and she will just answer you directly right here live, unless you're asking, how much taxes, how much money she made last year and how much taxes she paid. She won't answer that question, right, Robin?
No.
They might be with the IRS. No. Who knows?
Are you kidding? My fiance doesn't even know all that information.
Good. Okay, let's see. Here's one coming in from Laurie. She says, what kind of physicians do you have?
I have a mix right now. The majority of my practices are either primary care, such as family practice, OBGYN, an internist. I have one that is a psychologist and a couple of single practitioners that are just very specialists. And
well, good. So it's just a variety. You haven't specialized in any one type of specialist then?
No. If I was going to say my specialty, I'd say it's probably primary care. Pediatrician. I'd like to pick up a pediatrician. That's kind of like my next goal is to find a pediatrician. But you know, your first line doctor. What I'm finding is just as a doctor specializes, as you get comfortable in this industry, and support with ABS is second to none. If I have a question, I get on my email, I send the question, and usually within a couple hours I have an answer back, and it's usually the right answer, which is very unique. It's very unique. Not every company is like that. But we end up becoming insurance specialists because even though there's some small differences between your primary care and your specialist, they're not that big a difference. So we end up, that's kind of how I got one of my bigger clients is I said, look, you've got your specialty, I've got mine, let me do my job. And
that's a good way to put it, isn't it? Yeah.
And she loves me because I make us both a lot of money.
Yeah, I had a licensee the other day tell me, Robin, that they had, when they first met this doctor, she was about to let her Mercedes lease, give up her lease because she wasn't able to make the payments on the car. And as soon as this the licensee took over, within about 3 months, she had gone out and bought and paid for the doctor had bought a Mercedes. So that's how, I mean, she had collected a lot of bad debt for her and claims that hadn't been rejected. She sent them back through our system, and they were all accepted, and she brought in like $40,000.
Oh, I have a very, very similar story of my own that's very much like that.
Yeah, the doctors love it when you start, because it really is bottom line. They see it pretty quickly, don't they? When you take that rejection rate that they have right now, which is about 30% on the average nationwide, and get it down to what is yours? Do you know what your rejection rate runs?
Now there again, it depends on what type of practitioner you're working with. On my specialists, it's about 3%, but most of those are because the patient's insurance changed and they didn't get it to us, and so you have to refile with the new insurance and it gets paid. Now, what is actually, the doctor just says, just write it off. In my primary care, it's probably just over 1%.
Yeah.
And with my specialist, oh yeah, they wonder, what's the catch? With specialists, it's a little higher because there's some different hoops you have to jump. But I think my highest one is like 4%.
Yeah. See, that's unheard of. In fact, most doctors won't even believe you when you say you can get it down to a single digit. So.
Oh yeah,
but I hear that
if you can get it under 15, they'd be thrilled.
Yeah. That's right. I hear that a lot.
15%.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And of all the licensees that I interview on these webinars, Robin, I've never heard more than 4%. That's the highest I've ever heard. Most of the time, you're right. It's in the 1 to 3%, 2%, somewhere in there. So it's terrific. Well, let's see. Here's another question from John. He says, how do you structure your fees, Robin? $1 per claim or a percentage of the dollars billed?
Both. It really depends on the practitioner and what they are willing, what's palatable to them. I've got some where it's a percentage of what I collect. I have another where it's a percentage of what is allowed by the insurance company, so I get basically a portion of the copay too. I've got one that's $1 per claim. And then again, if we're doing everything for them, it just depends, of course. For those that want just straight, simple, no frills, it really is very, very dependent, and that's what was great about the live training, and then again the support was as I was trying to figure out how to do that pricing. I had people that kind of held my hand, and then the next time kind of just pointed me in the right direction, and then I was, it was like the training wheels were off and let me run.
Yeah, that's a big concern of a lot of people when they first get started. How do I charge? How do I know what to charge so that I do get the client and yet don't leave money on the table? That's just that's a on-the-job training, isn't it, really? But you're right. Our support people here can look at your proposal. They can help you with that pricing, suggest things. It's your business, of course. You can charge anything you want to, but we can give you some guidelines on that. So what does it normally run when you are charging on a percentage basis? Can you give us a feel for, is it 1%? Is it 12%? Where does that fall?
Of my primary care physicians, they're all on a percentage, and I've got some that are like 6.5%, and I've got some that are a little over 8%. But there again, it depends on what we're doing for them.
Yeah, because if you're managing their statements for the patients, even though our system will do all the printing and mailing for you, you can charge for that extra, can't you?
Yes, and not only do I charge them for sending them out, but I charge them when the money's actually collected, too.
Yeah, so you get it on both ends, the insurance and the patient's home.
Oh, yeah. If the money's out there and I do anything about it, like I said, yeah, sure, I can do that for a fee.
Yeah, that's right, for a fee. All right, let's see. Matish wants to know, Robin, did you replace in-house billing for your clients, or were they new starting practices?
A little bit of both. A little bit. The majority, and unfortunately, what I have found in Houston, now this is just in my part of Houston, and I have heard different stories from licensees all over the U.S., but in Houston, I have kind of specialized in salvaging the practice that was going under. Because, and for some reason, doctors, well, people, period, don't usually like change. And so I don't usually get the phone call until it's, oh, my God, if I don't have something happen, I'm closing my doors in 60 days.
Yeah.
And so I'd say 80% of my clients have been in that area. Then I've got a couple that were, I've been part of a group, I'm going out on my own, and I don't want to have the staff on site to do the billing. I want to have someone, and that's the one thing that so many, that really finally closes the deal is, doctor, I'm charging you off of what is coming in. So if you're not getting paid, I'm not getting paid, and so I am as interested in getting paid as you are. And they love that because they feel like they've got a partner instead of someone who's going to come in and file their nails and play on Facebook and all of that.
Yeah. What about that Facebook, Robin? How much time do you waste on that? We were just talking about that before we started the webinar. Okay, Mark says, what determines when you hire another account manager, or I guess a data entry person? How many accounts are you assigning per person?
Oh, there again, that depends. I've got one person that handles, I've got two people on one group because it's a significant group. And it takes two people to manage all the doctors and all the labs and all the diagnostics. And then I have another person who manages 3 different accounts because they're smaller. It depends on the size of the account, how much, I mean, are they spending an hour with the patient or are they spending 10 minutes with the patient? It determines by volume. And there again, those are some of the things that if you're just trying to figure it out, that's why support's there. And they can kind of bounce back some ideas and give you some things to think about and consider before you kind of jump off in it.
Okay, this last part of that.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry, go ahead. Oh, I was going to say, I pay all of my people based on production. So the more they produce, the more money they make.
Yeah, that's a good point. I've had other licensees tell me that they do the same thing. It's an incentive-based thing, and they like that because the more claims they can, process and the more money they can get in for the doctor, the more money that person makes too.
Exactly. And
I mean, there's plenty of money to be shared in this business, isn't there?
Oh, God, the pie is huge. I don't have to have the whole pie, just a very generous slice.
Right. Anyway, the last part of Mark's question was, how long did you go before you hired your first extra person?
Oh, well, since because I do, myself and my mother are the actual licensees, and we did it as a partnership. And my dad does a lot of the marketing for us. And so between she and I, we were able to cover just about everything for, now I was one of those that took a while to really start getting in and being trusted, so it probably took us a little over 2 years before we hired someone. And there are people who have come and gone because a lot of people don't like the commission-based work because they actually have to work.
Right.
Go figure. But then we had one person who was part-time, and then within a year she was full-time. And we've been adding on more and more rapidly as it's gone. It's starting to become more of a snowball. But yeah, so it's about 2.5 years in before we actually hired someone.
Yeah. All right. Here's an interesting question from Laurie. She says, "Well, how did you get your first client, Robin?"
Okay, that was my very first client. Was with a system that we have now since let it, had the taps play from the bugle, because it was a software-based system, and it was the check drafting system, which I think is called Auto Collect or
Choice Pay, yeah.
Yeah, that one. Thank you.
Right.
It's still check drafting, no matter what the name is.
Yeah, we had software that actually printed checks on paper. Right.
I've been around for a while. And so that was really my first one. And I started earning a reputation for being very honest and very good and very accurate. And it was through a networking event that somebody who was not in the medical industry at all but had a friend that was, who was having problems, and called me in. And I sat there and did the best poker face I could possibly pull, asked the questions I was taught to ask in training, ran home and got on the phone to support, going, what do I do now? And they taught me through how to put a proposal together, and went back. And this practitioner is still in business, and that one led to a referral to a friend of hers, which led to another referral. In fact, every doctor I've got, I either received through a referral from another practitioner or through one of the other systems that we have that we use. That's not as scary as billing. Oh my gosh, I can't turn my billing over. Well, once you earn their trust, they trust you with the billing.
Right.
And so it's all been through word of mouth, and, oh, you've got a problem with that, you need to talk to my biller. Or I know someone who can handle that problem for you. Every bit of it's been through a referral.
Well, that's the way to build a business, isn't it? You don't spend any money marketing with that referrals.
No.
Well, you might
networking.
give the doctor a gift card for $100 gift card at a restaurant or something, but it doesn't really cost you what you would normally think of as costs for doing marketing.
Agreed. Completely agree.
Valencia says, does the federal stimulus incentive for converting electronic health records affect your ability to get additional business? My understanding is that physicians are eligible for up to $44,000 in federal incentives for converting to electronic health records. We were just talking about that earlier, weren't we?
Yes, we were. Actually, because of the system we use, and they have an EMR platform, which I will tell you right now, I am like a child on Christmas morning with a new toy with this EMR platform. It is
yeah.
so cool, and it is so simple. In fact, I'm going to be sitting down with one of my bigger practices and starting to just show them how it all works, because they literally can walk in with their iPad or with another tablet. It's logged into the Internet, tap, enter what they want, tap, enter what they want. And if I remember correctly, I think starting, if not today, sometime this month, they're going to even be able to send e-scripts directly from our system, from our platform.
Yeah, so, electronic prescriptions, yeah.
Correct. But in addition to that, all of the reporting that Medicare requires can be pulled and electronically sent in the next few months from our system. So, I mean, it's literally one-stop shopping. It is the most, like I said, I'm a kid with a new toy.
Yeah, and when doctors hear about the money that's available for just getting involved in the use of an electronic medical record system, and then you tell them that that's a part of your billing service, that you can just give them access to an EMR at no cost, they can't even wrap their brain around that, can they?
No, they can't, because that was one of the things they did was, well, tell us what EMRs will integrate with our system. I said, why do you want to go spend money on a software when we've got it already there? We do?
Right.
Yeah, you want me to show you? And then, it's the same thing with from the appointments through, I mean, everything. The system is so powerful and so easy that people really cannot get a grip around it until they see it.
Well, and when you tell the doctor and the office manager that they can actually log in, you can give them a login to see the real-time status of their claims, that just blows their mind, doesn't it?
Yes. In fact, we've got a banker that refers us to all of her doctors because, I mean, they can literally walk in and say, hey, I'm wanting to expand my practice and I need a line of credit for construction. Well, where's your finances? And they log in from their iPhone and say, what do you want? And they pull up a report right there.
Right out of our system, yeah.
Yes, they
cool,
do.
Isn't it?
We have another doctor that still has young children at home, and her daughter comes home and says, hey, Mom, I've got this, and they did it this past summer, I've got a trip to New York with my band, and I want you to come with me. She logged on there at the dinner table from her iPhone, blocked out those days of her schedule, logged back out, and went back to dinner. And they flew to New York and had a great trip. That is how powerful and simple this is. And I'm telling you, and of course, if he overhears me say this, he's probably not going to be real happy, but my father, who is electronically challenged, can make this thing do anything he wants. It is that easy to use.
Yeah, well, that's saying a lot because I've met your father, and he is a dear fellow. But I had to point out where the escape key was, I think, on the keyboard one time.
Oh, gosh.
I'm not going to give a link to this webinar to Ronnie now.
He just walked around the corner and gave you a dirty look.
Uh-oh.
But it is an extremely, and it's easy to market. That's the other part of it is there are so many different things that we have, so many different tools in our toolbox. It's easy to market, and then once we get in, it not only does everything I'm saying, it does more.
Yeah, it's kind of hard for people to wrap their brain around a web-based system because they're so used to software being, on a hard disk in the computer inside the office. But man, that's old technology, isn't it? There's other companies out there, Robin, still selling something similar to what we sell, a training package, and their software comes on CDs. You literally just load it in like you do old-fashioned software. I mean, nowadays all software is downloaded right off of the web, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, the fact that it still comes on CDs blows me away. But that's, oh, I see that you've put up one of the slides there that was, if you'll go back one slide.
Oh, you're talking about that one that I had there with the EMR. Wasn't that the EMR?
Correct. Actually, no, the EMR has updated since that. And the EMR is even easier to use than that.
Yeah, you're right. We're constantly changing the interface and making everything just more user-friendly. So I could update some of these slides.
Because that's an older version and the newer one is even easier to use.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. We're moving right along here. Let's get a few more questions in here, and I'll let you go.
Sure.
Robin, this is from Emmanuel. Says, what is the best marketing tool that you've used to help your business grow? What gets you in the door the best?
Networking.
Just networking. Yeah.
Networking, because, and there again, one of the things that I learned in training was, and it has held true and it has proven true repeatedly, people will not do business with someone that, A, they do not like.
Right.
First, they have to get to know you, and then they got to like you, because if they don't like you, they're not going to spend time with you. And then they
Right.
have to trust you. And that's why I cannot say it, and I almost feel a little cheesy coming back to it over and over again, but it is so true. The number of tools we have and the number of tools that you're constantly looking, and that's the one thing for everyone who's on this call. Since I've been in this business for 5 years, Patrick is constantly bringing us new tools. Okay, this is something else that's been working. Let's open it up to the other licensees. There's always something new that I can go in and talk to my people, the network marketing or network events, and say, guess what? I got something new. And there's always something to fit every business. And even some of the tools I have through ABS, I use with general business as well. So it's not just doctors. You don't have to limit yourself to just doctors, although that's the most lucrative. There are other opportunities out there with the stuff that we use for doctors that work for auto repair shops and dry cleaners and daycares. I mean, you name it, there's maybe 5% of the industries out there we can't work with.
Well, you're right, Robin. That's a big clue to some people on the webinar tonight. They're wondering, what is my competitive advantage in the marketplace? Well, it's this. Most people are just going to go into a doctor and say, hey, I do medical billing. Can I help you file your insurance claims? And that's all they can do. They don't have all these other services to offer.
Exactly.
So, yeah, that puts you at a huge advantage over those people.
It does.
Okay, let's see. Matish says, in your due diligence, which other medical billing companies did you look at, and what made you pick ABS?
Well, I went out there. Yes, I did. I did check out a few things. Of course, it was granted after hindsight, but everybody else, and the biggest difference was everybody else was behind ABS and technology, is what it came down to. I looked at 2 other areas and 2 other opportunities, and both of them were still determined to stick with software. They were not willing because, oh my gosh, we can't trust that web-based stuff. No, our systems, because I see right now you've got one up and the middle one is secure. I recently have made a business connection, and there again, met them through networking, that is getting into doctors' offices to improve their security of their systems, closing out ways that people can get in and hack the systems for a doctor's office. That's his whole purpose for getting up and going to work in the morning, is he's an IT guy, and his specialty is medical practices and securing their systems. And he said, well, I've seen a few out there, of course, some of them being, there's one particular software that's the big bad boy in the industry right now. And he said that leaves 21 active pathways into a doctor's system when they use that software.
Oh, yeah.
I
think I know what you're talking about, yeah. Advanced MD, I think, yeah.
Well, actually, I'm talking about Metasoft, too. But because
Metasoft. Well, yeah, they've been around for years, too, yeah.
But they leave
that's scary, isn't it?
21 open pathways into a doctor's server. Our system, he said that he went and looked, and you can't get into our system.
Right. It's just based on your browser, really. It's like browsing. Hey, if you feel safe going and doing online banking, for example, we have the same security set up for that, don't we?
Yes.
You're at no further risk.
Exactly. And so we are the only people that he will recommend to his doctors.
Well, that's great. That's a good testimonial there, isn't it? A good referral partner to have. Okay, well, Robin, just 1 or 2 more here, and I'm going to let you go. It's almost 7:45. I told you I'd let you go.
Wow.
This is William. He says, on the subject of man hours, when rework is needed on a rejected claim, what would you say is the average amount of additional time, man hours, that are put in for corrections and resubmissions? Or do you have
many? We don't have that many. And it depends on why it was rejected. Sometimes it's, someone who has two insurances, one being the main insurance, the other being the one that takes over whatever's left, a secondary. And sometimes it's just, an email to the office manager, hey, call the patient and have them call their insurance and tell them who's primary and who's secondary. I mean, that's like 30 seconds of work. There are others where, depending on the issue, sometimes you're on the phone for a while because you're trying to track down, okay, why was this rejected? And nobody really knows, and you have to kind of dig for it. So it's,
sure.
I would say, though, there's really very little time because this 90% of the problems are caught with our billing system before they're ever submitted. So there's
right.
the majority of the time,
real-time error checking. Yeah.
Yes, and it really works. The rest of the time, it's basically Blue Cross doesn't want to pay if Aetna will. And so they're delaying until the patient calls in and says, no, you're really the primary. Or, hey, we want to know the first time they were seen for diabetes. You type in one little space, hit resubmit, and it's done. That's most of the stuff. It's very quick, simple fixes. It's very rare that we end up spending a lot of time on the phone tracking something down.
Yeah. Well, yeah. If you've only got a rejection rate of 1 to 4%, you're only going to have, up to 4 out of 100 that you have to even deal with that kind of thing. So
exactly.
That's good.
Exactly.
All right. One last question here. It's from Laurie. She wants to know how you're retrieving the info from the physicians. How do you get them? How do you get the info from them to do the billing?
In the past, we have been having them just fax over their super bills, which when they use our appointment scheduler that's part of the system, they walk in and everything's already, there, and they click print, and all of those super bills print out, and the doctor does his little X, and then they fax it over. But with changing to the EMRs, that's going to be changing how we retrieve information from them in the next 6 months to a year. So that's evolving.
Sure, and it's like a virtual file cabinet out there that they can just scan that data right into it. It's password protected. Your people can go in and unlock that and look at the documents on their screen. It's a wonderful system. Well, Robin, thank you so much. You've been such a darling to be on here tonight and take away from your evening there. I appreciate that so much, and thank you for sharing with our licensees earlier in the week here. She's been doing some, participating in some webinars with a company that actually offers merchant services. You use that to kind of get in the door sometimes, don't you, Robin?
Yes, that's with my doctors there again, that's here in Texas, in this part of Texas, in Houston. That has been the program that was taught to us in training of how the Fast Start marketing, which you got to check it out, guys. It's really a very, very powerful way to get your business up and moving. We used the merchant services with it, and that has been the referral as, oh, yeah, credit cards? Oh, everybody knows credit cards. Yeah, you got to talk to them. They're great. They'll take care of you. And that has been able to help me establish my credibility with doctors so they'll trust me with their insurance.
Yeah, because sometimes when you first approach a doctor, they're not open, or they don't feel like they need to change anything about the billing. But they're always interested in saving money on their credit card charges, aren't they?
Oh, yeah. And then once I'm in, I'm like, oh, by the way, did you know I can help you collect that bad debt from your patients? And, oh, you need your files audited. Let's get you set up for that, too. And then before you know it, you are so stuck in that office, they will not go anywhere else.
No, that's right. Well, Robin, thanks again for being on here. I appreciate that so much. You let us know if there's anything we can do for you, as usual.
I certainly will, Patrick, and you have a great evening.